So, Andrew Bridgen, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
It's a pleasure.
So Andrew, you just presented this morning at the World Council of Health and gave a very powerful speech. Tell me in a nutshell what you said to the group here, because I think the world needs to hear your message. It was very, very, extremely moving, I felt. That
I'm committed to my constituency in North West Leicestershire. It's my home.
Yeah.
I've served them well for, I think, for 9 years. We've delivered lots of economic growth and made my people's lives better. And then all of a sudden COVID comes along. It's destroying people's lives. The suicide rate's going through the roof and not returning back to normal levels. Nothing's back to normal. Things have not been right in our country and around the world. The answer is, at the end of the day, things aren't right in any of the democracies around the world. There's nowhere to run to, so we have to stand and fight, and we have to win. The vaccines were very, very harmful. They're continuing to do harm. And I think what we're seeing in the Western world is science and the truth just don't matter anymore. Well, we're going to have to get back to it, because that's what protects our people.
So the media's not touching this. No. How do we effectively get the message out? Because
we've got to use the back channels of social media, which are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The mainstream media, if they weren't, it's a double-edged sword. They've taken money from corporate interests and governments to promote a certain message, because the people know that they are no longer telling them the truth, so their viewership's going down, so their revenue's falling. It makes them more reliant on the government and the corporate interests. So it's a loop that they've got. It's actually a death spiral for the mainstream media, isn't it?
I'd like to hear that. So your constituents...
Well, I had a great meeting in Sweden about 7-8 weeks ago, and there was a young lady there from Iceland, and she'd started up an independent media company in her shed, and 6 months later, having been rubbished by the two main TV channels, her viewers had gone up and up and up, and they'd gone bankrupt. And that's in a population of 360,000, you can do that, can't you?
You can do that. So there is hope. I think we just have to push forward alternate media.
Yeah, and also we've got to wake people up to what's really been going on. It's not easy for a lot of people, but people are waking up. Certainly in the UK and around the world, they're waking up. We've got to be gentle with them. It's going to be quite traumatic to realise things aren't quite how they seem, and you know, you can't force someone to wake up. It's a bit like I can drag someone to church and make them listen to a sermon. I can't make them believe in God, though, can I? They have to come to that on their own time, and we've got to be gentle with them. We actually got to feel sorry for the people who aren't fully aware of what's going on. But it's certainly growing in the UK. It's doubled in the last 6 weeks.
So you're seeing momentum here?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's and to get from 20% to 40%, it'll only take as long as it got from 10. It's going to be faster than that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's the multiplier effect, which is kicking in.
A multiplier effect.
Yes. And what about your constituents? Because you were popular, because you delivered. So
I hope they'll look at the situation, and even those who are sceptical or still believing that the vaccines are safe and effective, there was nothing in it for me to lie to you. I've lost my career, I've been attacked in the media, I've had reputational damage like everyone else has who speaks out. I wouldn't be doing that if I didn't believe I was telling you the truth, and I'm trying to look after your best interests. I've been there for you and your family, and I hope when the next generation comes, you'll be there for me.
Well, and you're vaccinated, so you can't be called a conspiracist.
I'm just worried about what it's done to me and the side effects for everyone else, and I'm seeing it.
Yeah. So you're probably getting approached by a lot of vaccine injured. What's the process in the UK for the injured? Well, is there any reparations? Is there any...
120,000 if it's severe. It's got to be more than 60% disability, as if you could cause someone 59% disability and you wouldn't have any liability.
No.
It is crazy. I mean, the whole system needs revamping. We need to rip up those immunities from prosecution from Big Pharma. We need to get our money back. They were not ever effective. They didn't do what they said they were going to do. They didn't be catching it or transmitting it, and goodness knows we needed a lot of research to sort out the vaccine harms.
Yeah. So your cohorts in government, is anyone quietly approaching you and saying, Andrew, thank you, but I'm not brave like you? Do you get
about
those?
20 or 30 MPs have been to me and said,
Wow.
you're definitely onto something not right about these vaccines. Keep going. But that's a
Yes.
long way from having the standing up next to me in the chamber and agreeing with me.
Exactly. And you commented today and said how lovely it is to address a crowd that doesn't walk out the door. Because that's essentially,
That's what I've
when
been
you're in
doing.
Parliament, everyone left.
Everyone leaves, yes.
You know, which is a cowardly thing to do.
They want to pretend that they haven't heard it, but it goes on the record, and,
Yeah.
and when it goes on social media, my speeches in Parliament are hitting 20 and 30 million worldwide. So the message is getting out there, even though I'm not getting any coverage in the mainstream media at all. I've been,
No.
From the moment I first spoke out, I'm completely cancelled in the UK media.
So was there anything that resonated with you in the panel discussion today? Because there were some great minds alongside
they were
you.
talking about young people. Well, this is a phenomenon. I've had tens and tens and tens of thousands, probably 100,000 people have emailed me in the last 6 months from around the world. A lot of people from Canada. They tend to be older people. I think older people are going to wake up first because they've got the experience and the resilience that not fall for the propaganda. Mm-hmm. They know that not everything I read in the newspaper or see on the television is actually the truth, mm-hmm. whereas young people don't have that resilience. And I think we need the wisdom of the more mature to have a quiet word with the younger people, not to push it, but they can keep just dropping those little messages in there and ease them into reality of what's really been going on. Because ultimately, they've had more exposure to the propaganda than we have, and they've been getting it in schools. They're ramping that up as well. That's all got to stop. They've got to stop indoctrinating children. They're not teaching children in schools or even in universities now to be critical thinkers. They're just force-feeding them propaganda. It's all got to stop.
Yeah. So that younger generation, I love the comment about TikTok. That because their attention span is shorter. So maybe TikTok is a great medium.
Yeah, yes, we can do all that, but ultimately they've probably got, most of them have got uncles, aunts, mums and dads, grandfathers and grandmothers, and then they need the wisdom of their elders in this one, because this is the big one. This is the big one. And also, I mean, it's for their future.
Absolutely.
I've had a pretty good life. I just rather that my children had a good life
and
as well.
they've been robbed. I look at the younger.
Robbed.
It's catastrophic.
I've got a 4-year-old who doesn't even know what he's lost yet, does he?
It's tragic. Well, Andrew Bridgen, thank you so much for everything that you've done, for being brave. You're a rare soul, but I really admire you. And just keep up the fight.
Give my love to Canada. All the best.